From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Strong winds diverted traffic. The impact of highway closures as powerful gusts detour traffic into the city of Livingston this winter. And raising awareness how a forum aims to refocus accessibility for those living with disabilities. Plus, you are loved. The effort behind the message and how one Montana couple made it happen. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Tuesday, February 25th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Augusta.
Good morning, everybody. I hope I'm not the only one out there with the, actually, I hope I am the only one out there with the spring sniffles. I'm trying to relate on illness. No. Yeah, so forgive my nasally effect.
Well, you're doing good. Only
And
an hour to go. So
I am dosing it, so time will tell.
Cool. All right. Well,
Yep.
should be quite lucid by the end of the show here. This will be good.
Right. Trying to knock it back.
All right. Well, kind of spring-like out there yesterday. Got a little warmer than we anticipated. With the snow on the ground, it's really hard to kind of gauge sometimes just how warm it could get because that can affect it. Now, I was calling for a high yesterday around 47, and this is what's called a busted forecast. I tried to get it within 3 degrees, and I was off by 6. It got up to 53 today. With that sunshine really helped warm us up. Now, we're behind a cold front, so those temperatures may be a little bit cooler today. Also, some cloud cover may keep those temperatures down. A big story today, too, of course, the winds continuing. We just had a gust of 46 earlier this morning in Billings at the airport. We had a top gust yesterday of 41 miles an hour. Was a dry day in terms of new moisture, but the moisture totals for the month and for the year looking great. So are our snow totals for the month and for the season. Now, we could see a little bit of rain this morning here in Billings, and once that goes through, that's it over the next several days. Pretty dry stretch on the way. 41 right now at the airport, feels like 32. Winds out of the northwest at about 17 miles an hour across the area. 30s and 40s as we wake up. You can see we do have some rain and even some freezing rain off to our east. And they're the winds that we're talking about. Still a big story through this evening. We'll get a bit of a break tomorrow. Then maybe some stronger winds on Thursday. We'll have a complete look at your forecast coming up.
Okay, sorry, just hiding this cord.
Okay. All kind of things going on.
I know, there's a lot going on this morning. All right, Miller, lots to come, especially on those big wind gusts. But new this morning, crews are trying to figure out what happened after a train derailment just west of Miles City late last night. The Custer County Fire Chief says the train hauling coal derailed at approximately 11 o'clock p.m. last night. In a release, the fire chief says the derailment involved 25 to 27 cars. Emergency response teams were quickly sent to the scene. Right now, BNSF Railway is working alongside Custer County Emergency Management to manage that situation. There are no reported injuries at this time. The cause of the derailment is still under investigation. The fire chief adds that initial assessments will happen with more daylight to gain a clearer understanding of the full scope of what happened. And a 47-year-old man is dead. 3 others are injured after a 2-vehicle crash on Highway 87 North. That crash happened on Saturday evening around 6 o'clock, where Crooked Creek Road intersects with the highway near Shepherd. According to Montana Highway Patrol, the 47-year-old who was driving from Billings was driving a Subaru Legacy on Crooked Creek Road when he failed to yield. Upon entering the highway, the car was struck by a northbound Chevy Silverado, with both vehicles ending up in the ditch. The man, whose name has not been released, died before arriving at the hospital, while 3 people in the other truck were injured. It's unknown how serious those injuries are. The Highway Patrol says all occupants were wearing seatbelts, but speed is a suspected factor in this crash. Like Miller was talking about, warmth and wind, 2 key words in the forecast over the next few days. The spring-like temperatures may be welcomed, but the wind could continue to be a problem for travelers. And that's especially true for Livingston this time of year, where the city saw its 3rd highest wind gust on record on Sunday at 93 miles per hour. Those winds toppled vehicles and shut down the interstate yet again this winter. Our Charlie Kleps dives into what the constant uncertainty means for travelers and the community of Livingston alike.
Every time the interstate closes, hundreds upon hundreds of vehicles are diverted here through town and right outside these Livingston businesses. Livingston isn't exactly known for traffic jams.
It's very dicey if you have an empty trailer.
But it does have a reputation as one of Montana's windiest cities.
In the last 5 years, the shutdowns on the interstate have really become astronomical.
This weekend, all traffic on Interstate 90 was once again diverted through town after one semi after another was either toppled or pushed off of the highway. Greg Senderhoff knows what it can be like being behind the wheel of one of the big rigs.
And I've been hit by a gust of wind right alongside Livingston. It feels like your trailer is being punched.
Those wind gusts can snarl traffic, forcing hundreds off the interstate and through Livingston's downtown.
In town, Park Street gets really backed up.
Neptune's Tap House and Eatery on Main Street is one of the many businesses that was certainly busy this weekend, though she says that's not always the case.
I thought that that might be good for business, but it really isn't. People aren't getting off Park Street. They're mostly staying in their car hoping that they're going to get somewhere.
Owner Lauren Solano says it would actually be more helpful for the road to stay open so that business can run as usual.
I had a friend I was meeting for lunch the other day, and it took her like an hour and a half to get to lunch, and she lives like just outside of town.
But one thing's certain, I-90 will likely close again before the winter is over, with drivers like Greg warning others to slow down.
It's kind of like flying a kite. If you want a kite to take off, you run fast with it. So you don't want your trailer to become a kite.
In Livingston, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Charlie, thanks so much. And on the flip side, this warmth, along with temperatures hovering around 50 degrees, could lead to some flooding concerns with all our melting snow. Those concerns already being seen in some counties, including Musselshell and Carter. Here's the scene in Custer County where minor flooding has taken over the Kinsey Highway at mile marker 13. The Montana Department of Transportation has put out flagging in that area and is urging drivers to use caution. The standing water also leading to several road closures in Musselshell, including the last 5.5 miles of Griffith Road, 4 Mile Road at Willow Creek, and Snowy Mountain Road, along with several others. And early this morning, the Vatican offered a new update on Pope Francis, saying he rested well all night. This comes after news that the 88-year-old's health improved slightly 11 days after he was admitted to a hospital in Rome with a serious respiratory illness that's since triggered other health problems. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest.
At the Vatican Monday night, crowds of Catholics from around the world gathered in St. Peter's Square, offering a prayer for Pope Francis.
I think it's quite somber, just because how ill he is, I suppose.
The 88-year-old pontiff, hospitalized over 10 days ago with double pneumonia, is said to be improving. The kidney issue discovered over the weekend, not a cause for concern, according to the Vatican.
He hasn't had any further respiratory crises. He has been able to reduce the amount of oxygen flow when he was using the nasal tubes.
Pope Francis was able to resume some work Monday while inside the hospital in Rome, calling the parish of Gaza, which he's done consistently since 2023. Some American Catholics see this as a time to come together.
A central figure like Pope Francis allows all of us to be grounded in something greater than ourselves.
Praying for recovery and healing. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition. Doctors have not released a prognosis, noting the complexity of the clinical picture. And back here in Billings last night, dozens joined together to raise awareness of the struggles faced by the city's population of people living with disabilities. The event featured a panel of speakers sharing their own personal experiences. The goal, to shed light on accessibility issues and pave the way for positive change in the community. Our David J. reports.
Access for those with disabilities can be challenging. While many have made the necessary adjustments, those attending a discussion on Monday are hoping for even more accommodations. Sometimes those with disabilities do not get the welcoming that they need.
Still places that their seating isn't 100% lower for people in wheelchairs.
Mitch Bone points to the Americans with Disabilities Act, which requires 5% of the seating be lowered.
That is an ongoing problem here in Billings that we're trying to help correct.
Bone was born with spina bifida and organized a Disability Awareness Forum. He says many government buildings, including Dealer Park and Metro Park, along with theaters, have the necessary accommodations. He says often the issue is not willingness, it's simply not having the information they need.
It's definitely not that they've resisted, it's just they don't have that need in their own lives, and so they didn't think about it when they were opening their restaurant.
You learn something new every day about yourself.
Jack Lillis was part of one of the panels at the forum and has rheumatoid arthritis, which he says affects 60 million adults and about 220,000 children in the United States. He says something like the recent snowfall makes it even more challenging for people like his friend Bone and himself.
Even for someone like me walking from one spot into the door, there's ice on the ground. You know, there's always the risk for slipping and falling, and You know, for a lot of people that can be catastrophic.
Access, in a word, but that can mean so many different things.
Lynn Maloney Cabrera is the executive director of Eagle Mount, which helps those with disabilities get access to the ski slopes.
Whether they're in a wheelchair or whether they're not, they can go up to the mountain and take part in a day on the mountain with our staff and volunteers. Access can be financial barriers.
They say while there's still a lot to be done, it is getting better.
Those small things can make a big difference in people's lives.
There has been a little bit of pushback, but I'm sure as time goes on, it'll be even better.
We're definitely moving in the right direction. There's a long path in front of us. And I think it definitely starts with conversations like this.
And the next conversation, the next Disability Awareness Forum, will be held in July. In Billings, David J., MTN News.
David, thanks so much. And one Billings couple is looking to spread the love in a unique way. Earlier this month, Matt and Emily Hankins started a GoFundMe page hoping to raise money for a billboard in support of the LGBTQ+ community. They smashed their fundraising goal in a week, and now that hard work is paying off. As our Isabel Spartz reports, the response and effort to get to this point has been overwhelmingly positive.
A new billboard has gone up here near 24th and Grand, but this one isn't trying to sell you something, but instead hoping to spread a message of love.
When driving down Grand Avenue, you might notice this, a large billboard that reads "You are loved" on the front of a pride flag.
It feels so good to see it up in the air and watching hundreds of people drive by and looking at it. Makes me feel really good in my heart.
That new display that went up Monday is thanks to Billings couple Matt and Emily Hankins, who got the idea by the same message seen by artist Ray Sanarigi several years ago in Helena.
Our friends in Helena had put one up, and it immediately struck me as a great idea.
Tensions in today's political climate might leave some feeling isolated, and the Hankins wanted those in the community to feel supported. They were also inspired by how the Billings community came together during the 1995 Not in Our Town movement against hate crimes.
Now is another time when we can really rally and support the people that are hurting, the people that are scared, and people that we love.
Within a day, the Hankins had secured a contract, but to pay for it, they launched a GoFundMe. And to their surprise, thousands were raised in just a short time.
It literally took a week to have enough money to put up the billboard for half a year. And then the next 3 days, we funded it for 10 months.
According to the Montana Advancement Project, it's estimated that 3% of the adult population in Montana identifies as LGBTQ. But the Hankins want the message to still hit 100% of all Montanans.
Montanans really value freedom and independence and respect. I feel like this billboard really speaks to those Montana values.
I think that's what we need to express to people, that you're loved because you're a person, not because of the community you're in or because of the community you're not in.
The billboard will stay up for a year. All of the additional money collected will go back to the artist and local LGBTQ organizations.
We want everybody in the Billings community to know they are loved.
In Billings, Isabel Spartz, MTN News.